said that with a straight face. For millions of years, rhinos have helped shape the African landscape. But today, 3 of the 5 species face a high chance of extinction. In the last decade, almost 9,000 African rhinos have been lost to poaching. Can you believe that number? Last year, 3 rhinos were killed every single day. Now, the most endangered of the species, the Javan rhino, has a population of fewer than 70. In recent years, numbers have dropped dramatically due to poaching for their horn, which is prized in Asian countries. So what is being done to save these critically endangered animals? Joined by Deputy Director of Save the Rhino International, John Taylor. Hey, John, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us on the programme this afternoon. Let's just debunk this ridiculous myth about why rhino horn is in any way useful to people in Asia.
There are 2 markets in Asia. One of them is a traditional Chinese medicine market. That is nothing to do with the aphrodisiac myth that we read about in the Western press. It's been used for a very long time, but there are a lot of practitioners who say that there are alternatives, there are good alternatives to rhino horn. So there are plants that people can use. If people do want to use an animal horn, then water buffalo horn is just as effective. So it's a more rational market. The other market is a status symbol market that's emerged particularly in Vietnam over the last few years. And that's not a traditional market. It's not a cultural thing. This is a new thing that's emerged with a fast emerging economy and wealthy business people in that country. And giving rhino horn is seen as a symbol of wealth and strength, and you might impress your boss or show how wealthy you are. But that's a very new thing. And we're hoping that it being a new market, it can be countered.
Yeah, and rhino horn, I mean, it's keratin, isn't it? It's like your fingernails.
It is. It's absolutely the same.
It's absolutely, it has no medicinal benefit whatsoever. No. Nevertheless, there is a healthy market for poaching, isn't there? And so that is why the numbers are dropping so alarmingly.
Well, absolutely. In Africa, we've had a poaching crisis for the last 12 years. The numbers are actually beginning to turn. We were losing 3 rhinos a day. Last year and for the first part of this year, the numbers seem to be dropping down to closer to 2 a day. That's still 2 a day too many, and it's still unsustainable. But it looks like the tide may slowly be turning.
And that is because of the amount of effort that's being put in by, I'm guessing, the South African government, but also individual lodges to try to stop poaching.
It's partly in South Africa. It's also in other countries, in Kenya, Namibia, Tanzania. There's an enormous effort going in from the government, from, as you say, private conservancies and private lodges. The effort that's been put in by the amazing rangers, whether they're government or privately employed, who would go out there.
Actually in a bit.
Fantastic. Yeah. Those people are amazing. And we've just had an ultra marathon out in Kenya. I think your colleague, Mr. Brady, did it last year.
He did. It's amazing.
Where we've had people out running 5 marathons in 5 days to try and raise money to support the amazing effort that the rangers make.
Yeah, because it's very expensive, isn't it? And it involves generally helicopters, dogs, all sorts of things.
Absolutely. We've been running dogs workshops out in Nairobi and in Johannesburg to try and bring people together so they can learn from each other to use dogs for anti-poaching. But as you say, it's an expensive business. Helicopters are involved, aeroplanes, and all kinds of equipment that people need. They're out in the bush for a long time, so they really need to be kept well equipped and well trained and comfortable on these long missions.
Indeed so. And as far as poachers are concerned, do you have any sympathy with their background and the way that they find themselves in a position where it's an easy way for them to earn money and support their families?
It's a very difficult question. Most of the people who are doing the direct poaching are from relatively poor communities in the area. That doesn't mean that they have to necessarily turn to crime, of course, but you can understand the pressures that these people are under. We have a lot less sympathy with the criminal masterminds further up the chain.
Yeah.
It gets wound up with the whole criminal network that's involved in many other crimes as well.
Because rhino horn is worth, I can't remember, is it £250,000 a kilo?
It's something like that. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's shipped from Africa or Southern Africa and over to Asia is the general market,
It's Vietnam and it's China, primarily.
Okay. unbelievable. I mean, it makes me so angry when I see, and I have seen rhinos that have had their horn cut off, and they literally can't survive after that.
I think one of the things we have to remember is it's not just poaching. In Africa, it's mainly poaching.
Yeah.
In India this year, we lost 20 rhinos because of the floods. That's probably climate change and human development that stops the rhinos getting out of the way of the floodwaters.
Sure. So talk to me about World
You mentioned
Rhino.
the Javan rhinos.
Sorry, go on. Sorry, do.
Well, Javan and Sumatran rhinos, we're both down to fewer than 100 animals each. That's mostly habitat loss.
Yeah. It was World Rhino Day on Sunday.
It was.
We were going to talk to you on Monday, but those pesky politicians got in the way. What does World Rhino Day do? What does it achieve?
It gives us an opportunity to talk to people about the kind of threats that we've been talking about. But to be honest, there's another side to that coin. It also gives us a chance to celebrate the amazing people who work to protect the rhinos all year round. We've got people here in the UK, a kind of extended family of friends and supporters, who went out just at the weekend and raised several £1,000s for rhino conservation. We mentioned the people out in Africa running the ultramarathon. They have raised tens of thousands of pounds. It's around £50,000 at the moment. The money's still coming in. That's a phenomenal achievement. And then you meet the rangers and you meet the conservationists. So I think somebody said a few years ago, if you look at all the challenges and what we've been talking about, it looks insurmountable. And that's whether it's rhinos or ellies or climate change or plastics in the ocean or whatever. If you spend time with some of those rangers and some of the people working on it and some of the fantastic people I get to work with every day, then just occasionally you think, we might actually have a chance to turn this around.
OK. Well, let's hope so. Thankfully, we finally managed to get you on the show. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to take you over to